Wow, I didn't expect to cry. This is unfiltered Willow. I just had knee surgery. I just broke my ankle and had my whole soccer career shattered beneath my feet. That felt like I had just gone through the hardest chapter of my life. And then boom, I lose my mom. And I was like, huh, so what do you do? No matter what you go through in life, God will help you through. He did with me. I'm here. Follow me. Okay, I'm over here. What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is video number 3. If you're new here, hi, my name is Willow Collins. I'm a High Rocks athlete, up-and-coming girl. I just finished playing collegiate athletics, and I'm trying to avoid the corporate lifestyle like many other Gen Zers. So if any of that resonates with you and you want to follow along with my journey as I try to become the best athlete and, more importantly, the best human being that I can be, please stay tuned. But today I have a really important story for y'all. This is a story that's near and dear to my heart, and now I feel ready to talk about it because it's my collegiate athletic experience. This is going to be a video about my experience as a D1 athlete who played 2, arguably 3 different sports in college, which was not on my radar when I committed to school when I was 14 years old. So this is going to be a great video, and I'm excited to share my story with you all. So this story starts all the way back in 2017 when dinosaurs ruled the earth and the iPhone did not exist. Just kidding, but 2017 when Willow was just 14 years old, I was a brace-faced kid and started getting interest from college coaches. If you're new here, I used to be a soccer player. I eat, slept, and breathed soccer. I trained every single day, and I was committed to become a women's national team player or a professional soccer player. Alas, here we are. But at that time, I was a pretty good player. I wasn't, on the national team for my age group, but I was well known in the Utah soccer community, and I started to gain the attention of college scouts. So I caught wind of the Gonzaga coaches. They came to a scrimmage of mine in Utah, and they reached out. I had some phone calls, and so I went up to a little soccer camp. Keep in mind, this was me, 8th grade Willow, going into 9th grade. So summer going into my 9th grade year, I went to a camp at Gonzaga University up in Spokane, Washington, and the camp went great. I played very well, and the coaches liked me. I got along with all the future commits as well. And at the end of the camp, the coaches seemed pretty sold, and I was pretty sold as well. I came home, I had some more phone calls with them, and they offered me a really good opportunity to get both an education and pursue my soccer career in college, which had always been my dream. So I committed. I committed when I was 14 years old. All it was a verbal commitment, and little did I know I had such a whirlwind ahead of me, but I'm so glad that I committed to Gonzaga. Hindsight being 2026, almost a decade later, which is crazy to me. I committed when I was 14, and then I had 4 years to just wait and get prepared in high school. Fast forward, COVID hit. It was crazy. I didn't know what to do. I was in high school, and the whole world was shutting down. So the coaches reached out to us and said, you should come up to college early. So I made the decision in high school to graduate high school early. So I really only had 3 years of high school in a way because COVID hit my junior year, and then I graduated shortly thereafter. I ended up shipping up to Spokane, Washington. It's about 700, 800 miles from Utah. We're gonna have to fact check that one. But it was my first time going away from home, and let me tell you, that was really freaking hard. My mom and dad, my brother, they all loaded up the car, and we drove me up to Spokane where they, unpacked all my stuff into my new dorm room with my new teammates and set me off. January of 2021, I moved into the dorms at Gonzaga, and I started my collegiate athletic experience for real. However, this was not your ordinary experience at first. For example, my parents moved me in, and I couldn't see them afterwards. I had to quarantine for 5 days, where they brought food from the school cafeteria that was had been in a freezer for weeks to our dorms every day. And that's not to discredit Gonzaga. The whole world was just having a conniption fit at that time during COVID. So yeah, we had to wear masks. We couldn't go to school in person. I was miles and miles away from my family, and I was sad. I had a really hard time. When I got to college, it was a big culture shock. It was a big culture shock coming from Utah that's, I think, tends to be more reserved. And then I was in this whole new realm where I did not feel like I fit in. A lot of my teammates, you know, lived different lifestyles. They wanted to go out and party and drink and, you know, just do normal adult things. And I was not about it. I was like, I'm going to bed at 9:30 every night and I'm going to be on the grind and become the best soccer player I can be. If any of my lovely Gonzaga soccer teammates, if you guys watch this, you will know, and you're going to be laughing because, like, yep, Willow was kind of a knucklehead. She was always training and not having a lot of fun outside of sport, which is kind of true. I mean, I was enjoying myself, but, you know, I could have loosened up a little bit. But alas, I went to Gonzaga, started that spring semester early. I couldn't compete, but we just trained with the girls and started, you know, the college experience. I feel like you always heard this college experience thrown out there, and I wasn't really sure what that was going to look like for me. And I didn't really feel like I fit the bucket of what the college experience should look like. I didn't want to go out, and I didn't want to drink, and I didn't really like the hookup culture and all these things. And that's not to say that everyone's college experience looks that way, but I feel like in the movies and with a lot of the people I was rolling with, that kind of was the college experience was. And it was just really weird. It was a really weird and hard time. I remember FaceTiming my parents like every night and just crying when I'd see them. Like, I want to come home and I want to see Charlie, which is my dog. And I was really homesick.
Okay, don't cry.
And all my other friends were still in high school at this time. So I just felt like, and one part of me was really proud of myself that I was pushing myself and, you know, moving away and starting college early. But it was hard, you know. Fast forward, I came to summer training and I was feeling really good. I was feeling really optimistic. I was playing well and I ended up earning a starting spot as an outside back. So I had grown up playing center mid, but the coaches moved me to outside back. And at that point, I didn't care because I just wanted to be on the field. And to be a freshman starting for a D1 program, that was my dream. So I was living my dream. We had a great fall. I played pretty much every game. There were a few games that I played actually the whole game. I remember we played Purdue and I played the whole game. One of my second game ever, we played Georgia at Georgia and we beat them 3-1 and I had like 2 assists that game. So I was rolling, I was feeling confident. The coaches were confident in me and things were going really, really well. That season we had one of our best seasons in program history. However, we didn't make the tournament. But I was stoked, you know, like things were good and I was happy with where I was at, especially just as a little freshman. So I chalk up freshman year to being a success. I made the West Coast Conference all freshman team. I was on the radar for some scouts. My coach had told me at the time and I felt like I was on a good trajectory to get to where I wanted to go. So yeah, carried that momentum over to my sophomore season where I think I had my best season yet. That season, once again, I earned my starting spot, still as an outside back. Really wanted to play center mid, but the coaches saw me as an outside back, and so you know what you do when you're a young buck just trying to get playing time? You say, okay. You just smile and wave, boys. And if my old coaches are watching this, peace and love, peace and love. I played outside back, and once again, we had one of our best seasons ever, and I scored my first goal that year. And then after my first goal, I scored my second goal.
Here comes Collins driving in the block, in the back of the net, the equalizer! Willow Collins! Relentless! Keeps coming forward from that right back position.
I can't think of a more deserving goal scorer in this one. She's been so assertive moving forward the entire game. It's a beautiful touch to bring that down, but keep it moving towards goal.
It was a lot of fun. I grew as a player and as a person, and honestly, vibes were really good. We had some big wins, and I was really enjoying myself. So there were probably times in the moment that I was like, oh, what am I doing? But now that I'm outside of it, I'm like, yeah, they were good years, you know? I was just enjoying my time as a college athlete and playing pretty good soccer. It was at the end of my sophomore season that things started to kind of pivot. After my sophomore season, this is when my life really started to change. So I had started to feel knee pain kind of earlier that season, but it just kind of would come and go. And I had seen an orthopedic surgeon when I was home away for the summer, and they told me that I had either bursitis or maybe a torn meniscus. They didn't really know. They said we'd have to get an MRI. I was really hesitant to do that because that was scary for me. I had never been injured previously other than I broke my arm as a kid, but I was a very resilient athlete prior to that, so I was really fortunate. So I just kept playing on it. I was very stubborn. The last thing I wanted to do was to sit out. So kept playing, although I was having some serious knee pain for me. That carried over. So now we're into my sophomore spring leading into my junior season. The coaches told me I was probably going to start as the holding mid the following season. So finally I was like, yes, I'm finally going to play the position I've wanted to play this whole time. That spring, I ended up beating the team's beep test record, which I had my eye on the whole time I was there. It was funny, they never wanted us to go all out on the beep test because they said it would get us too tired for, practicing games, but that was what I loved. I loved endurance, I loved running, and so I always wanted to do the beep test and to show the coaches that I'm a hard A mofo. And, they knew me and they knew that I already could push myself to that limit, but I wanted to show the team and kind of gain the respect of my teammates, because not that I didn't have it, but I thought that would help solidify my swagger on the team. So after the beep test that spring, we were having a scrimmage, just a normal day. I did a slide tackle, and the knee that had been bothering me, something felt really wrong. So I came off and took a couple weeks, but ended up getting an MRI, ended up meeting with another orthopedic surgeon who told me I had a little tear in my meniscus. They had created a little flap that was basically just kind of going back and forth and coming in place and out of place, and that was what was causing all the pain and the swelling in my knee. And so they told me I was gonna have to get surgery to remove that flap. I would be, cutting out, if you know how a meniscus works, it's like the meaty cartilage, I think, between your knees. And so it doesn't grow back. So essentially they were just gonna cut out this little piece and that's that. But he said, luckily I had a beefy meniscus. So he wasn't worried about it. He's like, it'll be super chill. It's just gonna be 8 weeks. But as you can imagine, stubborn, control freak Willow at the time was like, what? 8 weeks without soccer? When had I gone 8 weeks without soccer? Never. I was distraught, bawling. Okay, maybe I wasn't distraught, but I was really freaking sad. Luckily, I had a boyfriend at the time. If you're watching, you know who you are, which helped, and he was very kind and helped me talk myself down because my parents weren't there. It was just me, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. I got the surgery. I kind of mean mugged it because my parents were out of town. My mom really wanted to be there for me to take care of me and whatever, even though it wasn't that intense of a surgery. But I was like, no, I need to get this done stat because I want to get back on the field, and the longer we wait for surgery, the longer I have to wait to get back. And I was just like, let's get on this now. So I did the surgery when my parents were out of town, and that was scary for me too. I was like, I'm hurt, I'm away from home, and I'm having to kind of deal with all this on my own. I was still going to class, but I started going down a bad path when it came to underfueling and trying to control a lot of my nutrition. I basically eliminated carbs from my diet to an extent. Would not eat a sandwich, would not eat rice, would not eat pasta, would not eat anything. And that was my own doing. I wanted to make sure I stayed in shape, and it was not good. But I was determined to get back on the field, and I wanted to be as fit as possible. But yeah, I want to do a separate video eventually about kind of hormonal health, because let's just say during that time I was underfueling, and so my hormonal health was bad, and that was something I had to deal with for over 2 years. And what was the underlying cause of this? I think it's just my drive and the desire for perfectionism at that time, which I've definitely gone over a lot nowadays. But at the time, I just wanted so badly to be the best athlete I could be and to be elite. And so I think a lot of athletes fall into this bad headspace where you just try to control too much, and you're too hard on yourself, and you don't let yourself just live and experience life for what it is. So in hindsight, I should have just been injured, trained hard, but still fueled my body and not cut calories and not do all that. But at the time, I wasn't mature enough to see that, and I was only focused on getting back on the field and being as fit as possible. And so this was a really unhealthy time for me, both mentally and physically, arguably. So yeah, had the knee surgery, but it wasn't that long. It was 8 weeks I was out, and then I was back out on the field, trained up that summer, and came back for my fall season. So yeah, fall season is where my career as a soccer player ended. Here was a girl who was obsessed with soccer, like more than anything in the world, truly, which was not good, but more than anything in the world in a way. I was obsessed. And little did I know, going into fall camp, August of 2023, that I would never really play again. Cute, sad music. No, it was my own choice, and it's actually a really cool story. So this is where it gets juicy, and this is where it's good. So I just had that knee surgery, and then 3 games into our fall season, which, let's take a step back. The fall training camp really sucked for me. My favorite coach, who was our old assistant coach, had left, and I had a really good relationship with her, and I had a good relationship with the other coaches, but she was really like my girl, and she had gone for another opportunity that was really good for her and her family. But yeah, when she left, I noticed like a dynamic shift where I didn't really know I fit in anymore. And here I was, like, I had been hurt, so I obviously missed spring training, but my previous 2 seasons, I wasn't a star, but like I was a starter, you know, I was an asset on the team, I thought. But then this coach leaves, and then, you know, we're in fall training camp. It's like, where are we going to put Willow? Is she going to be a holding mid like we said, or is she going to be a center back, or is she going to be an outside back? And they were really just like trying me at all these different places, and as a returner and trying to like make my mark on the team and be like a leader and just feel confident in myself, this really affected me. And I don't think my coaches realized at the time like how bad that affected me and like my playing, because any athlete that watches this knows that like your mental game is arguably the most important. And that's what my old coach, the one that I was really close with, helped me with. She said, like, I want you to play free. But she leaves, they start messing around with where I'm playing, and at this point I'm scared. I have no confidence in myself because I was already coming back from a knee injury, and I just felt like crap. I didn't feel like it was like a mental block almost. Like I just had no creativity. I had no self-belief. I was playing, but I was playing very robotic and yeah, with like no self-belief, like just imposter syndrome to the max. And it sucked. I got my starting spot back. We were playing my 3rd game into that season. We were playing Oklahoma at home. It was a super rainy game. Just went for a routine tackle. This girl wipes me out, and oof, it hurt so bad. Like, I'm not the kind of player to stay down. I would always just try to bounce back up, walk it off ASAP, but this time I stayed down. It hurt really bad. And it was my ankle, and ankle stuff with soccer is the worst, because it's just like the basis of everything. You're dribbling with your foot, you're shooting with your foot, like it's just everything. You're running around, like, come on now. But my stubborn behind was like, I'm not coming off the field. I'm going to try to keep playing. So I stand up after like laying on the ground for a second. And I'm like, no. Like I motion my coach, I'm fine. It was not fine. Finally, like I play a couple plays. It's obvious I'm not fine. They pull me out and they're like, you're done. You know, like you're not okay. And I was like, you know, I was so bummed. That kind of feeling, oh my gosh, it's like one of the worst feelings in the world. Like coming off knowing you're injured and being kind of like, well, what's next? Like, what's gonna happen now? I think it's important to note here too, like at the time I was so myopic, like just focused on soccer that like, for example, I have this injury. It's like, dude, if you're hurt, take a couple weeks off, take a couple months off, take a time away from the team. But I was so afraid, and I don't know if it was like my problem or like the environment that I was in, but I was so afraid of falling behind. I know my coach had made a reference, and I think it was a good reference, but like they could have done a better job of nurturing the player's mental game. Because he's like, you know, the bus is moving essentially. He had like this metaphorical bus, and like you're either on the bus or you're off the bus, and it's gonna leave without you. And I get what he was trying to get at, but like for a young girl, like I became so fearful of being left behind. Like I could tear up, like it's sad. I feel bad for my younger self. Like I was so afraid of not being good enough and not being valued on that team that I was willing to sacrifice everything. And I did. I sacrificed my physical health. I sacrificed my mental health. I sacrificed my time with my family and friends. And I didn't see another way out. At the time, I was like, this is it, or I'm nothing, which is ridiculous. So, I don't know. I love Gonzaga. I love them. I love the people there. But I didn't feel like I had the support I needed at that time. I don't know who it was. I don't know who, I had great people in my life, but I was lost. So we had that ankle injury, and I remember my trainer at the time was like, okay, we're only going to be concerned if like in a day or two this gets really like swollen and purple. And sure enough, a couple days later, it was like purple bottom of it, and it hurt. And I remember like the next day trying to like run on it because I just did not. The last thing I wanted was to sit out of practice, because in the spring when my knee was hurt, I had to sit out every practice. Yeah, I was not about to sit out another practice or game, so I tried to play through it. I did not let on how bad it hurt. I don't know what happened. That's another thing. I say maybe I fractured it, maybe I broke it. I probably didn't break it, because if I did, like, probably would not be okay today, but it was really messed up. Had no imaging done, no x-ray, no MRI. Someone needed to intervene. They tried kind of, but it was just a mess. It was handled very poorly, I think, on all accounts, including my own, because I had the say at the end of the day, and I chose to continue to try to play. My stubbornness led me to try to play through excruciating pain. It hurt so bad. Like, I remember we would do drills where, you're doing 1v1s, and I was just terrified. I was like, if one person hits this ankle, I'm done. Like, I can't. Like, that will hurt so bad. So I started playing really weird and not like myself, because first of all, I just didn't have like the free flow of my ankle to like do the footwork I like to do, because I was more of like a dribbler. And then we'd do drills like where I had hit long balls as a defender and, shots and everything, and it hurt so bad. But like I said, I was more prepared to put myself through excruciating pain. Like, I'd rather be in that physical pain than to be sitting out and be bored. So that was crazy. I started playing through it. I was not playing well. My head coach, we had some meetings, and those were hard, because I want to be careful about what I say in a way, because I do respect my old head coach, and I would say we do have a good relationship, but it was not handled very well overall. I should have been more honest with how much pain I was in. But I started to lose playing time, and I was told I was going to be playing a certain amount of minutes, and then they wouldn't. Yeah, it was just like disappointment after disappointment, and I was fighting like with everything. I was doing my rehab, I was training, but like when you're hurt, you're hurt. And it did progressively get better, and I kind of got lucky, It was God's doing that, like, I didn't get seriously injured, because I had no business playing at that point. I really shouldn't have been playing. It would have been better just to take a month off and heal and just chill, but everything happens for a reason. So this is where I like this story, and it gives me goosebumps still in a way. Oh my gosh, see? Wow, I didn't expect to cry. This is unfiltered Willow. That fall was really, really hard, because I wasn't playing well. I was losing playing time. And during that time, I also was having a lot of family issues with my mom having health issues at the time. We were having the best season in program history. We won the WCC championships, and we went to the NCAA tournament and made it to the second round. It was like the best season. This is all I had dreamed about ever since I was 14 and committed to Gonzaga. It was winning the WCC, and I knew we would do it, and we did it, and then going to the NCAA tournament. But it's kind of interesting. I think there's a beautiful metaphor in wherever you go, there you are. That's what my dad and I say. Just because I was on this team that had done all the things I wanted didn't mean that I was going to be happy and fulfilled. And I think growing up sometimes, once you get into those rooms and get those opportunities, you realize that. So we had the best season in program history, and I had never felt so lost, so confused, and sad. I was done.